1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 online.
I think we're.
Okay, now it's 6 o'clock. Call the meeting of the NCIB to order. Oh, yeah, turn on my mic. I call the meeting of the NCIB to order. Kurt, do you want to do a roll call?
I'll provide information on how to participate and comment first. Information on participating in this meeting and providing public comment, including remotely by Zoom or telephone, is available on this meeting's agenda, which is online at isearchmonterey.org and in the back of the room. For remote commenters, you will be muted until it is your turn to speak. And for any in-person attendees, we do ask that you please keep your phones muted and any conversations to a minimum in order to prevent audio interference. We are ongoing trying to rectify any sort of issues like that. So anyways, thank you all for participating in your city government.
Parker, would you like to do a roll call, please?
Yes, and roll call. Aguajita Oaks,
Given the identity.
Alta Mesa.
Here.
Thank you. Casanova Oaknall,
Here.
Deer Flats. Del Monte Beach.
Here.
Thank you. Del Monte Grove Laguna Grande.
Here.
Downtown.
Here.
Fisherman's Flats. Not present. Glenwood.
Here.
Monterey Vista.
Here.
Thank you. Monterey.
Here.
Thank you for joining online. And for you, committee member Tahandra, can you hear us? Oh, I'll go through the process of just cause for you. Can you hear us so far?
Yes.
And do you have a copy of the agenda for this meeting?
Yes.
And could you please give a brief description for the just cause for your need to appear remotely? That could be for business, family, health, or emergencies.
A business.
Thank you. And is anyone over the age of 18 with you in the room?
Nope.
And can everyone in the room hear NCIP committee, Tandra? All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So moving on with roll call, Oak Grove.
Here.
Thank you. Old Town.
Here.
Thank you. And committee member Robert, I will also need to go through the process of just cause with you as well. Can you hear us?
Yes,
And do you have a copy of the agenda for this meeting?
I do.
And could you please provide a brief description of the just cause for your needing to appear remotely? Again, this could be for family, business, health, or emergencies.
Health,
Thank you. And then is anyone over the age of 18 with you in the room?
no.
Okay, thank you. And can everyone hear committee member Robert as well? All right, thank you. And now moving on, sorry. So that was Old Town, oh no, yeah, Skyline.
Hello.
And Villa Del Monte.
Here.
Thank you. And your address is included in the agenda. So we have roll call. And at this time, we'd like to provide a brief introduction of staff, given the current change of staff that's at the table right now. So we'll start off on my right.
Senior Engineer Reginald Paulding.
Administrative Assistant and Recording Secretary Parker Lovett.
Hi, Sarah South, Engineering Programs Manager, or what's my name? Engineering Programs Analyst.
And hello, I'm Andrew Easterling, City Engineer and Deputy Director of Public Works. I'm filling in for Andrea tonight. She really wants to be here, but she is out sick tonight, so I'll be filling in.
It's Public Works.
Yes.
And that's all for staff introductions.
Cool. I guess the next thing is public comments. So does anybody have something that is not on the agenda that they wish to address to the committee in public comments this evening? I see one. What do we have online?
You have two.
There's no hands raised online.
You got two people.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead and have 3 minutes. Ladies first. So that document.
I believe this is on, so
Make sure the green button.
green button,
It's on now.
okay. Good evening, I'm Gina Sessions, and I'm speaking as a member of the public tonight. And I did bring the leave for the record because this is kind of long. Over time, the funding available for the NCIP has grown significantly out commitments and an ever-growing bank account. I respectfully provide recommendations for the committee to review, discuss, and adopt As a former nearly 20-year government employee, I have experienced firsthand the importance of community engagement efforts, and I value the work of this community. However, we're at an inflection as this group moves forward to align projects and funding with city priorities. I ask the committee to consider an alternate approach. In partnership with the city, reinvest current existing NCIP unallocated, including revenue earned from interest on accounts, back city general capital improvement fund to address the current budget crisis. This could amount to nearly $1.2 million. Prioritize critical city infrastructure for the FY25-26 allotments. Delay any other highly ranked 25-26 project that do not meet the criteria of critical city capital improvement. Develop standards, evaluation processes, and a project budget review system to review projects on the existing approved list prior to engaging in the review and cancellation of projects. Embark on a strategic planning effort to realign the NCIP mission, vision, and goals with investment decisions, operational processes, and portfolio management. Use the 26-27 project identification moratorium to engage in this strategic planning. Recommend that the NCIP establish a commission calendar to formally engage in a transparent, forward-looking strategic planning process to be effective beginning the 27-28 year. Undertake a comprehensive review of the program's mission, vision, values, strategies, and intended outcomes. Clarify public purpose, funding goals, methods, and evaluation of program performance to support strategic future-focused decisions. Shift from a process-oriented focus to an outcomes-oriented focus to drive annual commission decision-making. Identify and use the lessons learned over the 30 years of NCIP to set the path for the future. And design a strategic plan to be a formal living document. So developing an updated NCIP project selection process as well. Establish a defined and deliberate process that is objective, transparent, and aligned with citywide priorities. Align the operational processes to be informed by the strategic plan and employ clear criteria that have been developed through the strategic planning process, such as formal rating and ranking that aligns with the city's key infrastructure needs. Let's see, I'm not going to make it in my, anyway, I'll leave this for you all. Scheduling biannual reviews of the approved list. But basically, this point here is to really be thoughtful about the current and do strategic planning for the future. And give it to me.
And Vice Chair, we have one person who raised their hand online.
There was another one.
Yeah, and one more here.
Let's get the one in chamber and then we'll go to the one.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Duncan Emmons. I'm resident here for 3 years now. And forgive me, I'm not a politician by any means, but I do have a concern that I'm hoping to bring up that maybe somebody can champion for me, which is parking, which I understand is not a uncommon gripe in Monterey. But here's the situation that I find myself living in is I have to park in the street because there's not enough parking, and that's fine. Sometimes I have to park around the corner. I live on Casanova in the Oak Knoll neighborhood, and around the corner is Euclid Avenue, which I often park. However, during special events, the fair, any of the music festivals we have, that area is for 1 hour parking only, and I'm not allowed to park there overnight, even though I live in that neighborhood. I looked at getting a 1 hour or a parking permit, which is given to residents. However, my address is not included in the approved addresses. And I think this is kind of an injustice to residents. Now, in my situation, I'm going to move. I'm not going to be in that apartment. We're in transition. We're going to buy a house and we'll move out of the neighborhood. But it leaves the poorer community of Monterey in a situation where they don't have the same access to public utilities that the homeowners do have. And I think there's a lot of different ways that we could come about that. Maybe giving us all that kind of parking privilege, or limiting our street as well. But like I said, I'm not a politician, so I hope somebody can take up that challenge and champion my cause. Thank you.
Let's go to online.
Esther, you should be able to speak.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. Just want to say thanks for doing all these additional meetings. You guys are really putting in the time. And many of us appreciate it. I know it's not easy, especially in these days. That said, I want to encourage you guys to please consider the ask of the city for help from NCIP with the budget.
Hey, Esther, that's on tonight's agenda.
Okay, well, what I'll echo then, I didn't realize, I got thrown off because the first woman that spoke kind of was in between all that, but I do agree with her on the fact that NCIP needs better direction so that you guys aren't faced with these ongoing dramas repeatedly. And I'll leave it at that. Thanks.
That's the end of public comment.
Okay, informational reports, Reggie?
You have the informational report this evening. Yes, give me 1 second. Go. All right, thank you. So this evening, I wanted to discuss a few of completed and in progress projects that you're currently working on at NCIP. So here we have a couple of photos from Del Monte Beach Boardwalk. These photos were taken last week. So this is, we have a benefit from the federal government shutdown in that we're utilizing labor from some of the Presidio craft workers. They had some time to help us out, and if you can see in this photo, but they've added some new railing posts here on these like seating alcoves along the boardwalk. And then they're also replacing all of the cable along the boardwalk and the dunes along the beach. So this project is in progress, and they're working to complete it. Then we have two other completed projects. NCP 2428 which was Recreation Trail water bottle refill stations. We installed 4 of those. This one was the last one at San Carlos Beach. So there's 4. There's one at Window on the Bay. There's one at the Coast Guard Pier at the basketball court. There's this one here at San Carlos Beach. And there's one down at the a little bit further down on the Recreation Trail going south at the train that's on the trail there. And then on the right, we have NCP 2415, which was the Virgin Avenue sidewalk project that was completed as well in October. So that's the end of my status report.
How much does one of those water fountains cost? Like this one here?
So we were, they're roughly in the 5,500 actual fountain stuff.
Okay. Thank you.
Cool. NCIP informational reports. I don't have any. We just met last week and nothing else has happened in between. That's great. So public appearance for first review of.
Yes, we can do that. And if I may, Chair, I also want to recognize that we do have another committee member online remotely. Committee member Deer Flats, Dave Overton, who I need to complete a just clause for.
Yes.
So if I can take that moment while we get the next item going. So with committee member Overton, have you been able to hear us so far?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Okay.
Have you been able to hear us so far?
Yes, I've joined just a minute late. I phoned in first and couldn't get my ID in, so I
Okay,
joined via
thank
the
you.
Zoom app.
And do you have a copy of the agenda with you?
I do.
And could you please provide a brief description of the just cause for why you need to attend and appear, why you need to appear remotely? And this could be for business, health, family, or emergency reasons.
It was because I was traveling and a delay, so I'm not at a fixed location, so I had to phone in.
Okay. And is anyone over the age of 18 with you?
No.
Okay. And can everyone hear committee member Overton for that? All right, thank you. And now we can proceed to the public appearance item. Item 2, and we will Reggie.
Thank you. Second. Okay. So again, just to recap from last meeting, in this 25-26 cycle, we received 70 nominations by the deadline of July 31st. In the last couple of weeks, various reviews, 14 projects have been found invalid. And tonight we're going to review, and then voting night is on December 17th, 2025. Tonight, we're going to review 34 projects. 11 in New Monterey, Oak Grove, 2 in Old Town, 1 Skyline, 17 across neighborhood bound. So the 11 that are in New Monterey, in New Monterey 01, the reconstruction of a stairway and walking path on Irving right of way between Parsons Street and Linden Street. And then we have New Monterey 02, which is the property at 398 Belden Street. There's a request to purchase that property. New Monterey 03, there's the noise reduction, quiet residential area zone street signing. And these are examples of that type of signage. New Monterey 04 is additional funding to continue work at Hilltop Park Center. New Monterey 05 is to install sidewalk along this section at 499 Drake Avenue. New Monterey 06 is sidewalk repairs with 300 block of Pine Street. New Monterey 07 is the installation of a restroom on Cannery Road. New Monterey 08 is Lighthouse Curve historic preservation and road improvements, and the submitter has identified a potential solution would be stacking of some kind of concrete cinder block and terrace it on the hillside, as shown in the picture on the left. New Monterey 09 is Chelsea Center Park Center facility improvements. New Monterey 10 is additional funding to continue the work of widening 500 block of Oak Street. New Monterey 11 is specifically Hilltop Park Center art mural upgrade and expansion. There's 3 panels now, and there's room to add 2 more panels on the building. So that's the New Monterey projects, and we're going to do something slightly different. We'll give the there's the rep for New Monterey, or she's online. If you would like to add anything to the New Monterey projects.
Yes, only a couple things. So for NM02, the Belden lot, that
Yes.
property was already purchased, so it's not a valid project.
Okay.
And then for NM08, just wondering if there is redundancy to MN01, the multi-neighborhood one.
No, this would be a separate, those are 2 separate projects.
Okay.
Locations. Okay, so we'll move on to Oak Grove. There's 3 nominated projects. Oak Grove 01 is to install a raised crosswalk at the Recreation Trail crossing at Park Avenue. Oak Grove O2 is to replace radar speed signs that were at the Sloat and Fifth Street intersection. Oak Grove O3 is a Sloat Avenue and Highway underpass sidewalk improvements and a community project. So those are the Oak Grove projects. Okay. Old Town, excuse me, there's two projects. Old Town 01 is to replace wooden stairs on a path on the north end of Van Buren Street right of way. The report is that the stairs are in need of replacement. The wood is showing signs of wear, deterioration. Old Town 02 is Colton Hall Old Jail Site drainage improvements and other necessary weatherproofing for the buildings. And here you have an example of some of the wear on the tear on the building along the north wall and west wall. There's no projects. Oh, sorry. The Old Town representative have anything to add to those two projects?
This one is rather involved, very complicated. We'll take historical input, and it's also supposed to be related to the repointing of Colton Hall.
Yes, that is correct.
Right. So do we have a price for that?
This project, we don't have a full price, but it would be somewhere in the order, it's over $500,000.
Okay, yeah.
So we'll have pricing information before voting night.
Okay, can we go back to the other one, the stairs into Van Buren Street? Yes, that's actually quite dangerous. It's very slippery. You know, it's like 3/4 of most of those rail steps are covered in sand and dirt. And if you go around, which you can tell there's a path to the right, most people try to go around, and that is very slippery. So dangerous.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
So moving on, there's one project in Skyline. So Skyline 01 is to improve Skyline Drive walkway between Skyline Porch Drive and Veterans Drive and Veterans Park. And there's the report of standing water and drainage issues amongst other requests nomination. Oh, sorry, Skyline, do you have anything to add?
It does run across the roadway. It does put mud and so on the roadway. It'd be nice if it was dug out. I'm not sure it's our highest priority this year.
No projects, no nominated projects in Villa Del Monte, which brings us to multi-neighborhood projects. So the first one is MN01, which is a nominated project to upgrade the pedestrian railing barrier along Lighthouse Curve. Multi-neighborhood 02 is replace failing retaining wall sections along Lighthouse Curve. We have two related projects, although they are different. Multi-neighborhood 03 is public safety building analysis of alternatives. And multi-neighborhood 18 is the police department interim improvements, while you have some other actions. So multi-neighborhood 03 has, the building has surpassed its useful lifespan, and issues such as heating, cooling, electricity, and plumbing, as well as space constraints provide challenges to the police and fire departments and their current needs and future growth at this facility. And the reason why Kristen recommended an alternatives analysis because consultants estimate to construct a new public safety facility ranged somewhere between $140 and $170 million, which the city does not currently have funding for. Multi-neighborhood 18 was police department interim improvements, specifically focusing on locker space, storage space, and office space, trying to reconfigure the current facility to make it more functional for the police department's needs. Multi-neighborhood 04 is to remodel public restrooms and tennis use areas throughout the city, including those along the recreation trail and at Colton Hall. MN 05 is to replace non-functional radar speed signs. And last week we added the rectangular rapid flashing beacon at 200 Glenwood Circle to this project. So there are, I believe, 12 speed signs that are either not functional, older than 10 years old, and are predicted to not function in the near future. And these are their locations. Here's an example. The one on English Avenue is not functional. And here is that rectangular rapid flashing beacon on Glenwood Circle. Multi-neighborhood 06 is to implement some of the recommendations in the ADA transition plan at several city facilities, including Monterey Sports Center, the Monterey Public Library, and the Schultze Park Center, including elevator upgrades and parking lot repairs at the Sports Center, elevator and dumbwaiter upgrades at the library, and flooring replacement and parking lot repairs at the Schultze Park Center. And this is a separate project from the library's request last week. We have 3 undergrounding projects, multi-neighborhood 07, 13, and 17. Some of the differences between the 3. 07 is advocating for the undergrounding of utilities across the city to address fire danger during storms with high winds. 13 is proposing an annual funding of up to $2 million per year for 5 years to provide a consistent source of funding and build up the undergrounding fund. And number 17 is request $1 million for undergrounding utilities program. And this is a continuation of the project that was recommended and funded last year. We have 2 forest management fuel reduction projects, multi-neighborhood 08 and 15. The difference between those 2 is 08 is proposing an increase in funding for forest management and fuel reduction up to $2 million per year. And it's also promoting fire prevention efforts. And just to point out, fire prevention efforts that it would include like public outreach and education would not be eligible for NCIP funding. And then 15 is looking at a traditional forest management fuel reduction nomination project that we've multi-neighborhood projects 10 and 14 are looking at Wharf 2 repairs and grant matching funds and a wharf facility study, and looking at ways to make it more cost effective and fund its own operation. Multi-neighborhood 11 is a community-wide celebration of Native Americans in the local area, and it recommends adding a mural alongside the existing Sarah Landing mural, work of art honoring the history of Native Americans in Monterey. Multi-neighborhood 12 is the installation of bicycle racks at various locations around the city. And these are an example of the bike racks. These are at the Sports Center and were installed a couple of years ago through NCIP. But locations include Hartnell Professional Center, Bonifacio Place, Del Monte Avenue at Figueroa Street, Steinbach Plaza, Lighthouse Avenue, and the Recreation Trail at various locations. Multi-neighborhood 16 would include fire station painting renovations and additional funding for this project that was recommended and funded last cycle. I believe that's the end. That's the end of the projects for tonight's review. So we'll open it up to committee questions only and public comment and then deliberation on the committee.
I got that, Dirk. Questions? First, on the wharf two, I read that the city applied for a grant. How much did the city apply for that grant? You know, it said it was done September 2nd, so.
I can answer that. That's a great question. We applied for a Protect grant. We were asking for about $12 million, I think a little over 12 million.
Okay.
They haven't announced the recipients or awards yet, so we're still waiting, fingers crossed.
You know, when they might,
No, the federal government's a little unpredictable right now, so I don't have any clarity on when they're gonna announce awards.
okay. Thank you.
Any other questions from, go for it.
A question on the lighthouse curve, is that, what's the latest on the debate, whether that's government responsibility versus our responsibility? And since
Sure.
really not our property.
There's portions that are, the property line does kind of dog out at locations, so there's portions of Lighthouse Curve that's public right of way, but the parcel is owned by the Army.
So is it truly a valid NCIP project, I guess, if it's doing it on somebody else's property?
Well, yes, right, we have to, we have an existing agreement with Army.
Okay.
So yes, it would.
And then a follow-up question is the suggested those stacked bricks, does that work really in an area with that much traffic? Would those hold up over time, those stacked bricks?
I don't think we've done much research into the stacked bricks, but I doubt there's much seismic support for lateral loading. It's also a very complicated site to work on. Obviously, there's a lot of sensitivity. And I think the Army has their own ideas of what they want to do with their portion.
Yeah.
I do have a question piggybacking on question that was just asked about this project. It says there may be historical artifacts, or the historical artifacts may exist. Do we know for a fact that there are? If they're not, is it just a hypothesis?
We know for a fact there are. I think there have been incidents of gophers burrowing and bones coming up. So we're pretty certain it's a highly sensitive site.
So then for any project that's done on there, we would need to have an archaeologist or something to stand by or do a study, which can be quite costly.
We would more than likely had to have people on standby, just watching every piece of dirt.
Thank you.
I remember all the discussion about restrooms. We decided to do a restroom study, which didn't happen. That's why I'm glad to see the restroom projects here. Will this, I'm thinking this will somewhat satisfy the need that the restroom study was attempting to address. Is that
a question?
Is that I guess you turn it into a question, yeah. You agree?
Yes and no. I believe that that part of the scope of the restroom study was to evaluate potential new locations for restrooms, in addition to identifying needs at the existing locations. So this project would address the needs at existing locations.
Good, thanks.
Any other questions among the chain?
Got a couple. So I just wanted to confirm that NM04 is adjacent to NM04, how does that relate to the work that's already being done and that we funded? And is that work we already funded completed?
No, work that has been funded is not completed. It's nine. So this would be for additional work once the design is complete.
And then NM05 is a private home? It went by real quick, I'm pretty sure.
That is correct, yes. It's a private residence.
And then we're okay on OG01. do we have a policy about raised crosswalks? And we used to make people stick to their parking, their traffic calming plans, but we kind of are loosening up on that a bit. So how does this relate to that traffic calming plan for Oak Grove?
I can answer that. It might be a little awkward with the microphone. All right, we'll bounce back and forth. That's a good question. We do have a crosswalk policy that was recently approved by council. So it's a little bit different than the traffic calming program. But it looks at crosswalks, provides kind of a transparent and uniform guideline for what types of enhancements we would have with certain types of crosswalks. And a lot of the recreational trails are going to end up being raised crosswalks through the lens of that policy. So yes, to answer your question, we do have a policy.
On that same project, I know with Casa Verde, when we did all the project that's currently in construction, there were reports of vehicle versus bicycle accidents. Have there been any reports of accidents at this intersection that you're aware of?
None that I'm aware of off the top of my head, but I could do some research and circle back with you. Next.
Any other clarifying questions amongst the committee?
OG02, does the submitter or the neighborhood want to consolidate that with the other traffic radar sign projects? Or leave it on its own? So in other words, everybody else has put all of their signs into one big project. And I'm wondering if this replacing of speed radar sign, which is OG02, would fit better mixed in with the multi-neighborhood replacing of radar signs. In other words, we're going to buy them all at once and install them all at once. So just a question, maybe not an answer yet.
I was just wondering if this project that you are talking about is going to be included in the other. Does it make any sense to keep it here or just keep it in the other or both?
Well, my recommendation would be to consolidate, to have just the one project, into that one.
So it will be eliminated from this list.
Correct.
Okay.
But just as we saw with the diagonal sign, it will be added to the list and picture will be shown, et cetera, with that.
It'll be added, right, to the multi-neighborhood project.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it doesn't go away, it just goes to a new place. Shelley?
I had a question about NM06. Is this a NCIP project? Or is these repairs that can be done under Measure S?
I'm sorry, which one?
NM06? It's like sidewalk repair. ADA.
This one, the 800 block of Pine Street?
So I can answer that as well. If the adjacent property owner is the city, these repairs can be done through Measure PS.
Okay.
If the adjacent property is not the city, it's really ultimately the adjacent property owner's responsibility. The committee can still make that recommendation, and council can appropriate funds, but ultimately under Streets and Highway Code, sidewalk maintenance, adjacent property.
MN16. So last year we looked at two different fire department projects. We funded one. This is coming back and asking for more money on the one that we funded. This is not that second project. Question mark.
Well, we requested additional funds for Fire Station 12 earlier this year, and that was recommended and approved. So Fire Station 12 currently has a budget of roughly $1.9 million. And we would be essentially requesting roughly the same funding for Fire Station 13.
But it's already,
Fire Station 13 currently has 1.2 million.
yeah, that's what I thought. Okay.
It is funded, but in the presentation that told us that we needed to add to Station 12. They said the shortfall at that point was about 400,000. So I put that project in to support that project.
Perfect. Thank you.
Any other clarifying questions in the committee? Do we have any online?
For any committee members online, could you please use the raise hand function? And you can count down seconds, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and there's none online.
Oh, nice. Let's open up the public comments on these items. Anyone in the public would like to address the committee about these? Yes. Over, chiefs.
Good evening. My name is Pat Moore. I'm Assistant Chief of the Monterey Fire Department. I just want to thank you for your consideration for the Station 13 additional funding. We really appreciated your support with Station 12. With your support of the additional funding, we're able to do a lot of work that needed to be done, a lot of unforeseen. Probably the same thing happened at Station 13. You know, our firefighters live there 24/7. And so these projects are very impactful to our firefighters, and they're very much looking forward to it. So thank you very much for that. Just want to touch on real quickly about the Public Safety Center too. We understand that the cost to rebuild it is beyond probably our reach, but we think there are some other alternatives. Building is desperately in need of some sort of renovation. PD and the fire department, you know, I've been here 26 years and there's really not been any significant improvements to it. With improvements of technology and the demands of the job, we really need to look at revamping it. So looking at alternatives would be very much appreciated. Thank you so much. Yes.
Can I ask you a quick question? The improvements to Fire Station 11 and 12, how long would you estimate those to like last before you really need to redo the buildings?
For, you mean for 12 and 13?
Yeah.
You know, most of this stuff, I mean, I couldn't really answer that. I mean, engineers can give you a better answer for that, but you know, it's a lot of the internal furnishing that are being redone, which is, you know, could last 10 to 15 up to 20 years, depends. And there's some structural work that are being done. It's going to last probably longer than that. So I don't know if that helps you answer your question.
Okay, maybe you can answer.
But it's just not public. Right now, this is just public comment, so we can take that for later time. Thank you.
Okay, for any discussion.
Good evening, friends. Dave Holber, Police Chief. Great to see everybody. I want to start by thanking all of you, staff, and all of the volunteers that do this for our community. It's wonderful the way that everybody works together. And obviously, like Pat, I want to talk about MN03, MN16, and MN18. Pat's already talked about 16 with both of the fire departments. Obviously, as he has stated, it's very important for our working staff and the public safety officials to have those places where they can live 24 hours a day and feel that it's a good, worthy place to be. In relation to MN03, that is our public safety facility that we share with fire across the street. And as has been stated, we had a feasibility study and that came in at, I think it was $140 million. So what this would be for is to look at other items. Instead of just a total tear down and a total redo, are there other things we could do? Do things to the current facility to just make it so that it meets our needs? Are there other locations that we could look at? That's what MN03 would be used for. MN18 would be for PD interim improvements for that same building on the PD side. And I just wanted to talk to you a little bit about this. That building was built in 1959. It's as old, he hates it when I say this, but it is as old as our retiring city manager, which is 67 years old. And to the question, how long would this last? It really creates issues for us, not only for the people that work there, because it's something that they feel like we need to value them. In my opinion, the people that work for our city are the most valuable resource we have. It is difficult for me sometimes to recruit and retain when people have to go into a building that is 67 years old. I will tell you that I do not have enough space for the female officers. I have 4 different locker rooms. One locker room has what you remember from high school gyms that are little skinny teeny gyms. I've converted 2 offices into locker room space for female and male, and the women have another locker in the other area. Last week, I went into the building and they fixed our heating and cooling, and it was 84 degrees in my office and in that part of the building, because to cool one part, it really heats the other part. And there are issues with the plumbing and stories I could tell you that are not appropriate because the things that happen were just disgusting in relation to the backup and things surrounding that. So this ask on MN 18 is so we can reconfigure some of that, create a all gender locker room and reallocate some of the space to on behalf of all the men and women that are working in public safety for your consideration and support on these items. Do you have a question? No? All right. Thank you very much.
One more.
Evening, everyone. My name is Bonnie Adams. I'm the Executive Director of the Cannery Row Business Association. And I'm here to support New Monterey Project 7, which is the public restroom on Cannery Row. Just a quick background review. We originally applied for this project through the NCIP in the 2018-19 cycle for the design and construction of the restroom, and it was selected. In 2020, our project was defunded due to the COVID adjustments. And then later, this project was included in the citywide restroom study, which never happened. So we're now about 8 years later, and the need for public restroom really has only intensified. At the height of the 2024 tourist season, Cannery Row had 6.1 million visitors, which was up 7.7% from the year before, and the highest single day of 45,000 visitors. Currently, there are 2 public restrooms on the row. One's at San Carlos Beach, which is a bit off the beaten track where a visitor might look for a restroom. And then the other is at the Cannery Row Lodge. With only 10 restroom stalls, the wait can be at least 10 minutes, if not longer, during the high season. So what we'd like to propose is a public-private partnership. To demonstrate our urgency and our commitment to the project, we would contribute up to $25,000 towards this project. And hopefully those funds, along with NCIP funds, we could design and build the restroom. So that's my spiel for tonight. I want to thank you all very much for your consideration and all you've done over the years and the support you've given the community. It's really very appreciated. So thank you very much.
And there's one-on-one.
Let's go there.
Okay, Esther, you should be able to speak.
Great, thank you. I just want to give strong support for the safety buildings, both MPD and MFD. I've been talking about how bad the buildings are for at least a decade. I took a police academy, a community academy class way back then, and I was really appalled back then at the conditions that I saw, which I brought to council just in public comment, and I've spoken to many of them individually over the years. And this is so way overdue. If any of you have not had the opportunity to walk over there and take a look at it, I strongly suggest you do. They recently did a walkthrough with community members, and it was pretty well attended. And you will not hesitate to pass these projects if you even remotely consider the conditions that you'll see. And that's not even accounting for the behind the scenes things that Chief Hober didn't want to mention so that it wouldn't gross everybody out. So I want to make sure that, you know, our first responders are taken care of. We need to be able to recruit more of them. You know, we have a number of don't want to have them decide they're not going to come over to our city because of the conditions of those buildings. At least we can tell them that they're going to be addressed. Secondly, I also want to mention the undergrounding projects that were put up there. I've spoken about this before. We had this deficit in our city budget. The undergrounding is important, but it is a long-term project, very long-term. We need to consider some of these projects in the benefits they're going to bring in the short term and readjust, especially now with the budget situation. Those projects will happen and will take 2 generations at least for the city to benefit from it. So while it is important to do it, it's as important as us not taking money from the city reserves that we finally have some, when we can put off some projects with NCIP and support the more important shorter term safety related projects rather than undergrounding. My side of the city would benefit sooner rather than the others, and we still would rather have that money go elsewhere because it will not make a dent in anything that needs to be done citywide if we do the projects over here in North Fremont for undergrounding. Thank you.
And that's the end of.
Okay, now time for start with Delaware. Aguitos.
Well, today we're just doing the second half of projects.
Yeah, so is there any support comments you want to make relative to your projects? Answer any questions that were brought up by other people, et cetera. We'll just do that as we go around.
My neighbor doesn't have any projects submitted, but yeah.
We've got to give you a chance to speak. Alta Mesa?
So we covered our projects last meeting.
Oh. Yes, everyone's on the list, so I'm just using the checklist. You know how us accountants are. We just like get a list, we work the list.
That's all we did last week.
For those that don't know, Jamie and Amy and I are all accountants, so we got to go down the list. So Castle Oak, Mill Grove, do you want to just pass?
I did just one.
Have questions on the other ones?
I was wondering if in some of these projects, you kind of touched briefly on it, but it might be helpful if we could actually see the projects that could be possibly bundled or combined. You kind of touched on it a little this week. I know we didn't do it last week. This week, you have referenced other projects that were similar in scope, but it might be helpful if we actually saw which ones specifically, because I know when I went through the projects this week, I actually was saying, could this be combined or could this be bundled? Also, because you said bundling projects also tends to bring the cost down somewhat. So that would be helpful if we could see which ones could possibly be bundled together from staff's perspective. And again, I just think we should focus on public safety projects, prioritize those.
Actually, do you have any recommendations on projects that could be combined? This would be the time I think we should discuss those. Very much like Jamie brought up.
I think Reggie touched on most of them. Like I had a question about MN06 for the ADA, and I wanted to know if those were the same as the library, but that question got answered. It might be in here. I can bundle those together and send it to Reggie with the ones that I thought might be questionable. Because I think there are my notes in the book and it would take too long to go through those now, but I can do that definitely. The ones I thought might be able to be bundled.
Deer Flats, do you have any comments, questions on your project?
No, the only comment I have is the one on the combined forestry fuel management. I thought I saw Deer Flats listed on there, which ours we cannot use public funds because it's privately owned Greenbelt. My understanding is we can't use NCIP money for forest management for our neighborhood.
That is correct. That is correct.
That's all.
Thank you. Jamie, Tamani Beach.
Couple of things on tonight's agenda. The Oak Street widening phase 2 is a different section of Oak Street. And I'm wondering kind of what the current support is on that. And because I think in the past, we didn't have support and didn't get it done.
So no, my understanding is it's the same 500 blocks. So right now we're in design on 500 block. And we do have we have all of the residents on board with signed agreements minus one person. So we are able to move forward with the project. And we are near completion. We're at like 65% on the design.
And then on the ADA, which is N06, we said that that was a much larger section. I think in the past, when we've looked at these types of things, there's a giant inventory that was based on a study. I think for the purpose of this group, it may be helpful to understand whether there are phases to that, because we may not be able to bite off the whole piece.
Right, this would be a phased approach. So the city had an ADA plan, was completed, I believe, in 2013. It was updated in 2024. The 2024 update mainly cited the 2013 plan, with some exceptions, but mainly cited the previous plan. And this money would be to pick off some of the easier, higher profile items and move forward with those. At these, at these three locations, the ones that were recommended, the Sports Center, Schulte Park Center, and I forget the third.
Library.
Library.
So we have separate projects for those also, like the
We
library.
do, so we could,
Already ADA in that project.
we could, because we have a Schulte Park project, we have a library project, and we have, we don't currently have a sports center project, however,
Okay.
but we do have the other two. Well, we have a nomination, we have a nominated project for Schulte Center, we have a nominated
Project for the library.
for the library.
Anything else? Del Monte Grove, Laguna Grande?
No, we're down to 0 and I don't have any other question.
Super. Downtown?
Well, I'm going to bring up combining also. We have two forest management projects. And I don't know why we don't combine those two. And we have 3 undergrounding projects? All right, not talking loud enough. I'll get into my teacher voice. So we have 3 undergrounding projects. Yeah, I don't understand why we can't talk to the submitters and just combine all of those.
Well,
That would be my suggestion.
2 of them are very similar. The third, is a different idea in funding. Right. So there's the 2 that are just, they're standard, underground utilities, but they're a 1-year request. The third project is identifying $2 million per year for 5 years. That's the main difference.
Okay.
The undergrounding group's meeting Monday and we're going to discuss exactly.
Okay, thank you.
Sounds good. Fisherman's Flat?
Not present.
Okay. Glenwood?
I have a question on MN18 for the improvements for the locker rooms and things. Do we have any dollar amount for that yet?
I'm not aware, but I will look. Adding dollars will be my next activity
Okay.
on these.
As the improvements to that would make significant difference in the people that work there. I spent 18 years in Carmel PD, and with our female locker room was right out of the 50s with the tile. We had 1 chair, we had 1 sofa, but trust me, Goodwill would have sent it back. It was so bad. So it makes a difference when you're getting ready to go out there with all that equipment and to go out and protect people of where you change your clothes, where you shower before or after work, and where your head's at. It makes a real difference going out there. The other thing, I can't encourage you enough. I put in MN15 fuel reduction. The pictures in your book are taken on the city of Monterey property of the denseness of the forests that we have, and they're actually on Monterey City Forest Reserve land. So that's just part of the city. We need to get on the plan and keep doing this fuel reduction and keep chipping away at it, if I can use that terminology. Get homeowners involved in their properties, because you know what? One good fire, we're not going to worry about sidewalks or ADA or radar signs or any of that kind of stuff, because there's so many older wooden homes and buildings in this city. Trust me, it'll go fast. I've lived through and had to evacuate before, during my childhood, in fact, and it's scary. You'll lose everything. Thank you.
So what, Andrea, is that $500,000, but it will be useful in that building to make it useful ongoing. So it's money down the toilet if we can find a better way to fix the whole building, which is the objective of NMO3, is how can we utilize these facilities better and make them improved and be worthwhile as we go forward. But that was just her estimate based on looking at the stuff, and we don't have any specific estimate at this point. Monterey Vista?
Well, first of all, I see NBO3 is still on the list. That was withdrawn, so NBO3 can definitely get pulled from the list.
Which one is that? I'm sorry?
NBO3, the stop sign at Gold in San Burnaby.
Yeah, that has been pulled.
Okay, it's still, pulled, okay. I see it on today's agenda, it's not pulled. Second of all, when you do your dollar evaluations, how hard is it to put another column in there and say how much of your effort is? Because I think part of it is, in order to get back projects done, is to look at projects that don't involve you, that don't limit you.
Well, me specifically, I don't think we should look at it that way. It's staff time.
Yeah.
And more complex projects just take more time. So, and complexity could be any number of things, right? It could be permitting, design. So something like radar speed signs, pretty low complexity, fairly easy to do, can be done fairly quickly, right? Something like designing 2+ miles of, improved sidewalk along Skyline Drive, much more complex, will take a lot more time.
But some of the city submitted ones are like, they're completely outside of your, the forestry stuff is zero effort on your time. And it'd just be on some of the other city projects and so forth where you are not involved. It'd be really nice to know when you're not involved, or you have to be involved to a certain degree, or not at all, or I guess.
Would you recommend a complexity index of 1 to 10?
Yeah, I was looking at Reggie time, so
Yeah,
hold the project.
I'm reluctant to do something like that.
Okay.
Yeah,
It's not me. There's a lot more that goes into these projects.
Okay.
we've kind of discussed it, that a complexity index, which I brought up several meetings ago, would be helpful. It's kind of, and it's like if you're doing work in Skyline Forest, you have to have a rep. The kind of guy that watches the, that are birds of prey. You also have to have somebody who watches the stuff on the ground, because Yates Pipe area is protected by the federal government at $25,000 per plant. So those enter into the complexity of projects that are off the beaten path, if you will. And every project has its own nuances like that.
I'm just gonna jump in real quick, just to maybe elaborate a little bit on your point. So complexity index is probably something we can't provide. But at these meetings, I think it's important you guys ask questions about project complexity so that you can get a feel for what kind of challenge staff will have to navigate to deliver a project. And unfortunately, at the front end, there's a planning fallacy. Everything kind of seems easier and more straightforward. But as you get into the weeds of a project, you discover, oh, someone's taking a section of this. Oh, I need to pull additional permit. And so that scope creep continues as you navigate through the project. So it's tough for staff to kind of even predict how complex or what kind of hoops we'll have to jump through to deliver a project on the front end. until we really get into it. So it would be tough to deliver that, but definitely ask questions at this point of the process so you can get a feel for, you know, how feasible is a project? Are there going to be permitting challenges or other issues that staff might face? Because some stuff is pretty straightforward and a lot of stuff isn't.
Okay, my last question was, last year you provided us with a list of kind of a city view of the staff view of the different projects and recommended and not recommended. Is there a date when you hope to get us those, hopefully before voting night?
So you have that list currently in tonight's agenda. So we have, staff has provided projects that are supported by staff, broken down. So there's a notes column, an attachment two, and it gives you some details and a level of those recommendations.
And I want to echo the reason we changed our calendar so that we can have that a timely manner to help us with vote. Anything else?
Nope, that's it. Thank you.
Okay. New Monterey?
Yeah, nothing that anyone hasn't already brought up, just reiterating the point about bundling similarly scoped projects, for example, the undergrounding.
Super. Oak Grove?
No comment.
No comment. Old Town? Give you a chance to speak.
Old Town's online.
Okay. Alan, do you have anything you want to bring up? Assuming no response. Means no. Skyline, you know, my name's on the projects, NM03 or NM03 and MM16 and MM18, and I also support MN08. It's like she said, if we get a fire, it isn't going to stop at the city border, which was one of the reasons I pushed for the fire protection plan, so that we can get grants to help us with that forest. But right now we don't have them, so we need to fund them.
Old Town representatives raise their hand.
Okay, bring them on.
Rosemary, go ahead.
Yes, I think you passed over me, but I have no comment. Thank you.
Thank you for that. No comment. Villa Del Monte?
No comment.
Okay. Gotten through that part. I don't think there's anything that requires a motion at this point. So.
Right. There's no motion required, and we'll just review the first half again next week. So the first half of the projects will get reviewed again next week. And there's actually, they've been consolidated and there's less, I think there's 25 that first half group.
Super.
We have money next week.
So at the second round, will we have cost estimates or that will come later?
I will do my best by cost estimates in one, it's a short turnaround. We'll do our best.
Do your very best.
That's a relatively short turnaround, and he may not have it, and that would really the time for the reps to have the public that are supporting those projects show up and comment on them. And that will likely change our opinion about those projects once we hear from the public how they feel about these projects. Until Jamie wants to speak.
Well, I did have my submitter change the information in in our speed bump to be non-speed bump. So I want to
provide that updated information.
I just got it today. So it might be one more for next week.
If I may just jump in on the cost estimates. We do have estimates next week. They'll be really rough estimates. They've noted it's a short amount. But this is a reminder to the group, cost really shouldn't be a basis for nominating projects. Projects should be recommended based on their merits. Cost really shouldn't be a consideration. We do our best to provide a rough estimate, but just a reminder, costs shouldn't be a basis of making a recommendation or not. I know.
I could see on Jamie's face, then just figure it out. So. For us, everything is dollars. In fact, I always refer to myself as ESL because numbers is my first language, English is my second language. Okay, moving on. So, discuss staff has recommended new voting system. Okay.
Thanks for coming, guys.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, so this would be agenda item number 3. I do have a brief presentation. So kind of just to refresh everyone and catch up all up. So the existing process uses physical cards numbered 0 through 10. When we present a project, the committee member raises their card and then staff records those votes. I think last year we had 4 people recording votes live. Then we went back and watched the video to make sure that we had gotten them accurately. And then we had someone else review that, and then we issued them, and then we still had an error, right? So it was one item, or one vote, but it was still one error after all of that work. So the voting process is kind of cumbersome. And what we are proposing would be a modernization, but it would still maintain transparency. You could still see what each neighborhood votes. The voting scale would be 1 through 10. 0 is not an option in Microsoft Forms, but we could do it 1 through 10, and you could do it at your own pace, so to speak. So that's kind of, and then we can have results. So that's the proposal. And then this evening, we have kind of
At the meeting, or is that, can you vote?
no, it would be at the meeting.
Okay.
The voting would be at the meeting, but each person could vote, and you wouldn't have to be on a per project basis, right? So we wouldn't say downtown 01 and everyone votes, and then downtown 02 and everyone votes. Just vote. Maybe go through. Yes. Yes, well, and then we have, this is a screenshot, but let me pull up the actual demonstration.
About people that have to leave the room.
And
Let's see how this process works.
okay, so you bring up a valid point about the conflicts of interest. Yes. So here's just an example of what it would look like. You could put in, so the first question is your neighborhood, second question is your name, and then it goes here. So you would have, say, this is just an example. Project number 1 would be AM01 with a brief description and a photo of the project. And then you would vote 0 through 10. And then you can move on, Casanova Oak Knoll 01, brief description of the project, and you would vote. And so on and so on. So 05, Casanova Oak Knoll 03, sorry. And so on, right? So these are just an example of how it would be laid out. You would vote 1 through 10. And then when you get to the end, there would be an option to then there would be an option to you would press submit, and then your voting would be complete. So once the individual presses submit, but it won't let you enter submit if you didn't answer all of the required fields. So that would be the example of this. We can take, we do have a link where people can use it as an example if you would like, or we can leave it here and open it up to member questions, public comment.
Everyone has to bring a device.
So one of the requirements in order to do this, each person would have to have internet connected device. So you can connect through Wi-Fi or through, cellular data. But you would have to have an internet connected device in order to vote. That is correct.
So this process will be here at the meeting.
Yes.
When we bring a computer,
Yes.
our own computer with a connection to Wi-Fi, which they have it here, I connect,
Yes.
and we will vote according to this example,
Yes.
and it will be automatically counted. And automatically, well, not automatical, but we will get a response immediately
Yes.
for each project.
I could give you an example. So just say I'm New Monterey representative.
Okay, what?
And you would fill this in, and then you would just step through it. See here, I'm sorry, I think I have to actually start it.
While we have this pause, this is questions only at this point.
Yeah, this is questions only. Yes.
Okay.
You can.
Jamie, go.
Amy.
Would it be possible to kind of marry this with our physical process a little bit in that we keep it together and we do one question at a time? Maybe that's a management in the room using the tool. So, okay, everybody, we're on project number 1. Now we're on project number 2. That makes sure everybody keeps on track. Nobody gets behind or confused. And we're all voting for the projects we think we're voting on. I don't know.
The other question is, when you hit submit, how does the public know what you voted for? And if we don't all submit at the same time, then that's very possible that you may influence the other neighborhood. So it has to be all at the same time. And I think that's what Jamie was trying to allude to also.
Well, that would depend on the disclosure of what the votes are.
Right, so the votes are collected in an Excel spreadsheet. So, and it's auto-populated. So as you vote, and then we can display that at the end of the voting session. For example.
So the votes would be sequestered with staff until it's decided to show them to the committee.
Once the voting is complete, but yes, we can, as Del Monte Beach representative suggests. I mean, we can vote one project by project and keep it as it is now, work our way through one at a time. That is an option.
Joey?
So once you make a vote and it populates in the spreadsheet, the master spreadsheet, does that show how each representative voted on each project, or will it just be a generalized
Oh, it'll show
ranking?
broken down by project.
Okay. And by representative
Project.
and per representative, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes, because so the questions that are on the form are directly uploaded into the Excel spreadsheet, right? So you have neighborhood, you have the voting representative, and then the votes for each project. So it'll have number 3, and you voted, 6, for example. You see, this is, I have to click
So
on.
what happens when you can't vote for a particular project because you're too close?
Right, so if there's a conflict, where we would have to work, so we would have to create different,
We have a conflict button.
different
You
forms.
still have to vote on it and then later.
No, you wouldn't vote on it, so, but you wouldn't vote on, we'd have to create a different form for those exceptions. So like if we take downtown, for example, Kurt is too close to Jack's Park to vote anything at Jack's Park. So for Kurt, I would create a form that did not have Jack's Park projects.
That Bella would vote.
And then in that instance, then
Then you have to have a different vote. Yeah. You all vote.
on those specific projects, because we know, right, we know which ones are conflicts. So it is possible, but yes, it would be some conflict. It would be a little complication, but it's manageable.
You might, if you're doing one at a time, you might have people moving up and down from that station. So you have one station.
We could do it that way. There are options, right? So we could have a dedicated station for downtown. We could vote per project.
Parker, are you going to suggest public comments? Because
We do have one committee member online also has raised his hand to make a comment or to make a question as well. So committee member Overton, you can unmute yourself and ask the question.
Okay, thanks. And in opposition actually to what was said, back in the original voting, there was value in seeing what the direction of the committee was, a synergy around different projects. You didn't want to waste your 10 vote for something that only had 3 votes. I saw that somewhat carry out when we moved to this new voting system, where I might have a conviction, I wanted to give something a 10, but if everybody else was giving it a 1, it just seemed like I was in opposition to what the consensus of the committee was. So this would take that away. I thought there was value in that, of what we sort of saw as value. Anyway, that was just a comment I wanted to make on that.
So I have a question for the committee. How many people have actually been through a voting cycle before?
What are we doing? What's our question?
How many people have been through a voting cycle? Yes, you have.
Yes, you're right.
A minute.
So we only have 2 people.
There's 2 hands online also.
So we have how many online?
2 hands raised online.
And how many people do we have online?
4.
So we have
50%.
We have 4 people on the committee who've never been through a voting cycle. So whatever way we do it, they won't have ever seen it before. My only point in asking that question. We're ready for, I'm sorry.
So the confusion has set in for the blind. Are we talking 2 different systems here of explaining all the projects like we used to and then we vote? Or not explain any of the projects again and just kind of turn us loose to start taking to voting at our own pace?
Well, I mean, tonight is, I would say it's the first introduction to this, and we're taking feedback and we can modify it. I mean, I understand the idea of let's vote one project at a time. I mean, we're open to feedback and input. Our main goal is if possible, and the committee supports it, right, is to get away from hand recording each individual vote.
I get it.
Right, because it just tends to be it's a large effort by staff to do that. Right, we got 15 voting members times how many ever projects there are. It adds up, and there's room for confusion.
Also, if we decide to, well, if we do it the old way of you talk about every project and then we vote, we still have to open up for public comment. Or if then the other way is if we don't discuss the projects and you kind of turn us loose and we're doing our 1 to 10s, is there still time for public comment?
And my memory is we did public comment at the beginning.
Yes.
And we didn't do public comment for each individual.
Right, just to make sure that our base is covered there so we don't
Yeah, I mean,
get in trouble.
but my memory is it's public comment in voting. We didn't say, Alta Mesa 01 and then get public comment, and then Downtown 01 and get public comment. It was for all of the projects.
We have in the past, in between voting rounds, have had public comments.
On each individual project?
Not on each individual project, but round 1 is over. The other projects are going up on the wall.
Oh,
just before we go to vote, the public can then.
that was the old voting.
That's the old one, yeah. We did that a long time ago.
So 17 years on the committee, so we're actually.
Parker keeps us on the line.
We do have another committee member that's raised their hand. Committee member Tandra, do you have a question?
Oh, no, sorry. It was
Okay, no worries. Thank you.
The only other comment, I already mentioned it to you, Reggie, is security. And,
So
connecting to a public Wi-Fi and having us vote may not be the safest thing to do.
So I mean, right, and we can work with ISD, see, what the.
We need some secure. Okay.
Go ahead, Liz.
What I'm understanding is that you want to do this more like a questionnaire where we all individually will go through all the projects and vote, and you will receive the response immediately,
Yes.
but it will be not one project and we all go like we did before?
Well, we can, so we can change it. So that's a recommendation on the table right now. So instead of having all of them available at once, we could see if there's a way to have them available one project at a time.
So this voting for this year is gonna be on the 25th?
December, I believe it's
17.
17th. It's coming up soon, yes, but it would be December.
It's been
December 17th.
So what?
Oh, December.
December 17th. So right now, we're recommending a new process
Right.
for this upcoming vote on December 17th, roughly a month.
You know, there was November 12th and then November 15, November 25. I'm totally confused.
Yes.
So I'm gonna write down December 17 for the voting.
Yes.
Okay.
Public comments?
Yes.
Anybody in the public have any public comment that they would like to make on this item? Come on down.
Diane Salamone. I just have two public comment. One would be, it would be so nice if the city could just provide 15 different laptops for everybody. But I realize that might be possible. And comment number two is, because I am your future alternate, I got appointed for Fisherman's Flats, that there'd be some way to differentiate if the primary or the alternate is voting for the conflict of interest.
Right.
But on the computer, so it's not like just one computer with somebody pressing, because it has to be noted somewhere. Okay, that's it. Thank you.
Short and sweet. Good job.
Any other public comments in the chamber?
And there's no hands raised online.
And no hands raised online.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna be in town.
Back to the committee for discussion about our approach on how do we do voting.
Should we try it? I sent the link out.
Yeah, I did. Very simple.
Yeah, I think sending a link out that people can play with it beforehand to kind of get used to it would be. good.
Yeah, well, Parker sent the link earlier this afternoon.
Right. I tried it, but it didn't work. I'll try it
Well,
again.
because I had locked it, so. So it's available now. It was locked previously. So if anyone wants to, go ahead and then we can look at the results and see, give you an example of what it would look like.
So do you want us to go ahead if we have it up to go ahead?
Yes, please, that'd be great. It'll take like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
You just fill it out and then we can display it.
Logging back on.
5 minutes. Probably won't take it'll take 5 minutes to do it.
How's the ranking going? One is,
1 is low, 10 is high.
okay.
So
Tell when we're starting or just do it.
just do it.
You don't have to say anything.
So yeah, 1 is low, 10 is high, and generally the way it works is, well, what we do is we rank them from most votes to least. That's a list that gets presented to city council. And we award projects, we fund projects until it's the funds.
Trying to look through.
So,
Was that all the projects?
Well, no, this is just an example. This was
it's just a sample. I just,
right, it's just.
When was the link sent?
Parker sent it what time? About 3 o'clock? 2?
Yeah.
It-
The Slido?
And I could guess the short, sorry. So
There you go.
it's forms.office.com/G/WJ0RWE as in Eddie 954E.
so one of the options when you get done is to save it. If I have a Microsoft Teams account, is it really going to save my vote?
You can see.
Together or something.
I know.
Yeah, it actually did. I had to log in to help.
So that is the link, the one you have there.
Yes.
Yeah, Parker sent the email out.
Yeah, this is just the test. This does not count. We won't hold you to it.
I have a number of other emails from staff gathered. Show them what.
So we can, yes, we can view. So here we can see, we can view responses, right? So it tells us that so far 7 people voted. We have 7 responses for each of the required projects, and then it gives us the average. So we have, right, so
Save your response.
5.85. So
Seems ago.
generally people are
Pushing the middle button.
pushing the middle button. Right, which is fine. And then I can see here, so it'll all go to an Excel spreadsheet.
I don't want to save it.
So it's preparing the Excel spreadsheet and
Make me vote all over again.
No.
sure we have, it's in there, here we go.
We're back to all the stuff again.
So you have. So, right, so, oh, sorry. Well, so, right, we have each individual vote, right? So you have this, the row shows who voted.
I voted twice. Oh, that's interesting.
Did you do that?
Well, yeah, and so I could lock, so we can lock that. Only vote once per.
It captured it.
I love it. We have Chicago rules. You can vote as many times as you want.
So, but yes,
Say it the first time, so I didn't.
so there, but I could do, so we could, yeah, we could limit you to one person, one vote per, right? I mean, there's ways to manage all of this. But then you get this spreadsheet and then I could just come here and I can sum at the end of it all, right?
Yeah.
I can sum the votes. For this column. Yeah, now just while I'm trying, but now it's not letting me do it.
Still thinking.
But,
Okay, so
anyway, it's
I
possible.
don't have to do this again.
There we go. Right, so then we can,
5-4 on 9/11.
so we can sum them all together. So we have 67, for example, on this. What's that? I'm sorry?
Line 11, who is 5-4?
I don't. Well, okay, so we have to, right, I mean, we have to lock, so this is good, right? We'd have to make sure that it's a text. And so on, but there, and we limit it to, we could issue it only to the people emailed. Right, so it's not, right, this is open.
The Chicago voting.
But there's ways to lock it, to limit it, allow only one vote per person, all those types of things.
You might want to have some extension cords laid out.
Right, so practical issues, yeah, power.
Yeah.
The one comment, building off Kurt's, like, I do think, given these forms are so easy to share and use, verifying that the people are actually voting behind them seems like a pertinent step. And I know it's possible, but I know it does take focused efforts.
We voted here. The council.
Don't know, are we voting here or in council chambers?
Oh, no, all the meetings would be here.
Yeah, on the schedule list on the library.
Be here.
Yeah, yes. Okay, so that's the presentation. So I mean, it's, I guess what, you could make a motion if you were interested in pursuing this option.
I would,
Again,
I would entertain a motion that we kind of follow the past practice of doing voting rounds. And that way the public has a chance to speak in between voting rounds if there is more public comment.
We're just getting feedback.
Well, we're just, yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, we're just getting feedback. I'm sorry. There's no motion on this item.
Okay.
Just provide feedback.
But if you want a direction, that's what I'm thinking, but that doesn't know.
So when you say multiple, so you're saying go to a series of like what cutoff votes? I'm confused as to. So right now we have roughly after consolidating projects, we have roughly 50 projects. So generally in the past, we funded somewhere between 30 and 50. So you would have a scenario where, I mean, I don't know, right? Depending on how things play out and the funding that's available. But I guess I don't understand why we would have multiple rounds of voting. So that's my question.
Comments?
Why would you need multiple rounds of voting?
Yeah, so just to clarify again, we aren't necessarily looking for a vote on any motion on anything. Just feedback on what this proposed system is. If you do want to set for a future item for future discussions of other things, then you can make a motion to agendize other options. But we're really just looking at this option that has been presented. But again, if you want to make other alternate options, then we can agendize that for a future meeting. We just want to make sure that we're clear on what exactly the agenda item is itself.
I can see Jamie's thinking, go for it. And I'll come back to you, AJ.
No, I think it's a good idea and appreciate you guys bringing this forward as a nice option. I think it's a nice way to through an organized vote, so appreciate the suggestion.
And I would say I like Jamie's idea of going through them kind of one by one and kind of keeps us all on track and we're all talking about the same project. So it's a good, I like that idea.
And it would be just instead of holding the card up, you push the number and say, oh, except you'd have to change it. So every time we hit submit for each one, it would be the same thing as the cards. Not a big deal.
You can probably just walk through it. It doesn't really need to be controlled. It's just a way to keep us all somewhat on pace.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
I guess the one point that was brought up, if you want to see how other people vote, people could still hold up their numbers that they're pressing if that's desired. I don't know how important that is, but it's a
Right, I guess, I mean, it was
Oh,
my,
the spreadsheet.
or we could show the spread, but my memory is that the idea for voting all at the same time was to limit,
Right. That's the whole idea.
was to limit the whole like,
Yeah.
okay, you're voting 10, I'm gonna vote 10.
Yeah,
You're voting 1, I'm gonna vote 1.
it was.
The city attorney was very clear that it was to avoid voting influence by the peer group. So,
So that was the idea.
yeah.
As someone who hasn't voted before but has watched a voting night, it seemed very confusing and kind of chaotic, and it seemed very long. This seems very streamlined. Not only will it, with Jamie's suggestion, kind of, we can focus on one project, and I think it allows a more accurate recording.
Yep.
And less. There was 4 people counting, or however many people counting at the meeting, watching the replay to recount, and there was still an error. So that, I think this would totally eliminate that possibility of that occurring, because maybe there were other errors in previous years that nobody caught, because it sounds like this was like a member of the public that caught it. So as someone who's watched it and was confused just watching it, I think this, as a viewer, I think the public, it will be clear. You can also, and it's instantaneous. And it's there so that if you wanted to go back and look and see how someone voted, you didn't have to rewind the video to watch it. So I like it. And thank you for putting the time and effort to create this.
Jamie?
So I think it sounds like this process might work. We've got some controls to put in place. It sounds like us moving through it together probably keeps us all moving through it efficiently and together, and allows for the not disqualification, allows us for swapping people in and out to control the votes. And then the only other thing that's come up is it was suggested that in the last few years, we've had all the public comment at the beginning. It could be that we want to have the public comment in groups that keeps the comments focused on just what's ahead and allows people to get their comment closer to the time that their project's going to be voted on. But that does hold some people here all night waiting to make their comment as opposed to getting it done at the beginning.
Scott, go ahead.
Well, if you want me to, I was halfway through my thinking, but I think Reggie's going to save his voice by not having to repeat every neighborhood, tens and how many, 60 times. And that would give time for what Jamie was suggesting, which is public comment before maybe each neighborhood goes, rather than at the beginning.
Yeah, that would be okay too. Yeah.
Any other discussion? I have one comment. I appreciate the staff coming up with this because voting is difficult. And even the Oscars have to have Deloitte and Touche audit the result. So unfortunately, we don't want to pay the audit bill for Deloitte and Touche auditing our vote. Please go ahead.
Okay, we were doing all these years was to put our little projects first on the wall and then go through the first round and then add all the votes of the first time and then the money and reduce the money and do it all over again until we are finished with the money, minus the reserve. So what we are doing now in this suggestion is that we are gonna do that at the same time, and they're gonna do the scale based on that one-time voting from everyone and reduce it that way. Is that gonna work for us the way before?
The way before was the city attorney came back and told us we couldn't do it that way anymore.
Uh-huh.
Remember? And
Yeah,
we had to do the cards.
We had to do the paddles.
We had to do the numbers
And we had
because
to-
that was the city attorney is telling us we couldn't do it the other way.
So we cannot do the numbers.
Well, not the rounds. We still do the numbers, but not,
Right.
But just, we
rounds.
just don't have hold up
Right, we just don't have the card.
paddles.
That's all.
Well,
It's a different way of doing the numbers, same numbers,
yes.
Same.
1 to 10, just a different method.
I understand that. Just want to make sure that the same, we are still gonna do it. We are still gonna do it with transparency and legality, that's all.
Any other comments in the chamber? Any other comments online?
There are no comments online.
I think we worked this one over, but again, I think it's a great idea to do it this way rather than the other way, because it makes it a lot easier to tally the votes and
Okay,
we want to reduce staff time so we get our projects built.
But
all right, so I'll take this feedback. We'll revise the form. And then I think we'll probably, send that, we can send out a link, you can take a look at it, review it. And then I think we'll bring it back at the second round of the second votes, just so we all are comfortable.
good idea.
Before voting night.
Yep.
So we'll see, everyone will get a chance to see it again.
I do have one more question, Reggie. With the way the Excel sheet populates, it will only populate after all the votes have been submitted?
I believe it populates as you go along.
So if I vote first and I vote 8 on a project, Scott sees my vote.
Well, that's why, so we would have to control, because the goal
And you show
or
it.
the direction is that we can't have collaboration between.
Correct.
So how each individual representative voted won't be shown until after all the comments have been submitted. So this is,
Yes.
okay.
Well, staff is, right, so we can have it up.
But it's the same as everybody holding their cards up at the same time, theoretically.
Theoretically, yeah.
Influencing, correct? Okay.
Okay. On to item 4. So item 4 is on tonight's agenda. It's back again for consideration based on council direction to identify $3 to $4 million worth of existing projects that have not started or are inactive to provide funding to the general fund for the structural deficit. And as it's been instructed to staff that the council has requested this and that it is incumbent on the committee to provide some form of a recommendation on the projects And it's my understanding that can be done tonight, when you guys can make a motion to that at a later date to continue it with a date that has to be within, by the end of January, the direction. So I believe, I think correct?
Specific date in January.
A specific date in January. But we can go over the projects. Or you can make a motion to continue the vote until a specific date in January. That's the direction that's been given to staff.
Questions on that presentation? Any online?
There are no raised hands online.
Can we submit it to public comments?
Looks like there's.
Maybe we can't get by without a question, eh?
It's my job,
That's what we're here for.
right? And so my question is, how many Wednesdays are there between getting this done and voting night? Because we've now packed all of our Wednesdays from now to voting night. So how many Wednesdays are there between December 17th and sometime in January? The last Wednesday in January.
So between voting night on, well, December, I would say December is done after the 17th.
Right.
And then we have a current meeting scheduled for January 21st. So Wednesdays available in January would be January 7th, January 14th, January 28th.
Or 21st.
Well, 21st is already existing.
Can't be added to that agenda. Yeah.
Combined if we needed to.
So we have four, I guess, okay, to summarize, there's 4 Wednesdays in January, the 7th, the 14th, 21st, the 28th.
Yeah.
And the next question would be, how much time does it take to go through those and have that public comment and other vetting and information? So do you need all those Wednesdays in January to do the hearings?
I don't know. Originally, when I suggested this idea, I was expecting somewhere between 4 and 8 meetings. By the time you get public comments, et cetera.
Well.
Yes.
Do we have, is it a competence of us to review every project? Or is it okay if we start and we find, let's say, 2 or 3 projects that already meet the requirements of the city council? So do we have to keep going and review all projects, or can we just come up with some projects that we already agree on and we would be done with the 3 to 4 million?
So for simplicity, I'll just read the motion.
Okay.
That was made on Monday, October 13th, in the joint special meeting between City Council and the NCIP Committee. So the motion, and I quote, was introduced by Councilmember Barber and seconded by Councilmember Smith to direct the NCIP Committee to review their program and return to the City Council with a recommendation for $3 to $4 million worth of projects of the lowest priority to the committee. A friendly amendment was introduced by Mayor Williamson to direct that the NCIP committee use a prioritization exercise similar to the council's process on September 2nd, 2025. And the mover and seconder approved the friendly amendment. The motion was carried by the following vote: 4 ayes by Barber, Garcia, Smith, and Williamson, and 1 no by Councilmember Rash.
So if we did that, then we would all come back and say, these are the projects I think would be the ones, and we could look at like they did with their cards, like the city council did with their cards.
Do you want to share the cards?
I think the question that I'm asking, we've seen the cards a couple times. Sorry. I think the question I'm asking is what does the committee think about? We need to publish to let people know that their project's on the line. They need to be able to come in and talk about why they think their project meets the criteria to be continued or not. And so what do we think that we need to do to allow for that? Maybe the first week in January, people aren't back yet. So maybe a week or two, a meeting or two in January allows for that. That's my question.
There's a question online.
I'll take that.
Rosemary? You should be able to, go ahead. Go ahead, Rosemary.
Yes, perhaps I'm confused. I understand, I watched the last meeting and listened to it. So, and it was my understanding that you decided to offer in lieu of this 3 to 4 million from the next 2026 cycle, which would be money that was not encumbered. I see Dennis shaking his head.
Yes, so NCIP committee did make a motion and during the last meeting for that in lieu of this prioritization process. However, that is not the direction of city council. And so city staff is bringing this again to NCIP committee because again, we are following the city council direction to provide a prioritization of the past funds for project funding. And so the motion that was made by the NCIP committee of looking at the in lieu of that of 26, 27 will not be considered further by city council until NCIP committee does the prioritization process. So while the NCIP committee during the last meeting did make that motion, the city council will not receive that recommendation until the NCIP committee does the prioritization process because that was the direction given to NCIP.
Okay, that clarifies it, but it also, sounds much too tedious and time consuming. And that's my comment.
We back, any comments?
Open it for public comment.
Okay.
I think we have none in person, but we do have one online. Esther, if you can speak.
Hi, so I wanted to make a couple of points. So regarding what the previous speaker just said about the money that hasn't been allocated yet. So if that's similar to the 6 million that has usually been coming into NCIP, that whenever it gets considered should not be a substitute for the $3 to $4 million that the city is asking for on projects. The city deficit is $10 million. Nobody, absolutely nobody, not a council member or anyone else has publicly come up with alternatives to make up that $6 million if you're only going to go with the 3 to 4 million. The only thing that has come up at city council meetings is to cut staff and services. So, and also Gene Rash continues to bring up coming up with a first responder fee. That would mean paramedics calls would be charged. And if anybody has insurance, it'll get paid by there. And Medicare doesn't cover it. And she keeps saying that there's going to be a waiver of some kind. I've spoken to the fire department. That's all not going to be. I mean, every single person that ever calls for 911 paramedics to have a fee is going to add to the people that don't even go to the hospital now because they can't afford it. But my point is that nobody wants to see city staff cut. Nobody wants to see services cut. Guaranteed, the very people who are pushing for those to be cut are going to be the first ones to complain when we don't have the services at the moment that they want it. So I think I ask you guys to be conscientious and do the right thing to save the city, just like you did during COVID, without them having to force it. Everybody that you guys are going to encourage to come and talk about their submitted projects really need to understand this And I hope that every one of you reps that are going to be speaking to them and asking them to come to the meeting to push for their projects, understand this is where we are at. These projects can wait, and the city's budget situation cannot. Our rating as a city, which impacts the money that is loaned to us, is going to be affected. And NCIP has the full amount if you use the money that hasn't been spent yet. Thank you.
Thank you. And no other comment.
Okay,
That closes public comments.
now we can talk amongst the committee. Shaneri has forwarded a motion that she and Hans Usler have discussed and has been adjudicated as acceptable to Hans and Shaneri. So let me read the motion. NCIP will table the review of previously approved projects not yet started and will consider alternative recommendations to City Council at a date later to be determined in January. No specific date. We'll come back with a conclusion on that. The functional problems are the following. We need to get through this voting cycle with the projects that were submitted by the public, and let's not have any impact on the 25-26 funding, which is what I've been saying all the way along. The comments that was discussed between Hans and Shaneri were that the two motions that we made were contradictory a little bit to each other, and it didn't specifically respond to what City Council has asked for. So the discussion occurred, and the discussion basically said, if we table it until January, we can come up with a plan for how we're going to review the projects. I agree with Jamie that we won't have a conclusion, but that we will take it up in January. The important thing is to get through the 25-26 voting cycle, which we're upon right now. And we spend our attention to that, and then we turn tail to the review of the projects. And that we just approved last week. But because there's consternation with these two proposals, the two motions that we made, this is what Shaneri and Hans hammered out. And unfortunately, she's not here to speak to it. So I'm speaking on her behalf with her words.
So that was the motion.
Somebody in the room has to make it.
I think he just did.
So that's the motion I read from Shaneri, and I'm making that motion. Do I have a second?
Yeah, I'll second that.
Yeah.
Discussion.
I asked for a quick point of order. I didn't hear a specific date. Could I recommend, if we're making a motion, could we?
Is the discussion between Hans and Shaneri said in January, no specific date.
The direction I've received is we do need a specific date in January 31st.
28th, January 28th. That was the last date, right?
Of the Wednesdays, yes, that is correct. There's 4 Wednesdays, the 7th, the 14th, the 21st, and the 28th.
And the 20th.
By January 30th then. In case we need more meetings.
Let's hope not.
Can I amend it and say by January 30th, we have this done? Okay.
Parker, can I bring you the? Did you get it?
Bring it to us, yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh,
Yeah, go ahead. You can have discussion. Yeah.
so the date that added to it, that is the date that we will take the vote. So that gives us January to vet and have public comment. I'm not.
It gives us until that date. We can figure out, to Jamie's point, we should probably take the first 2 weeks or first 2 meetings to have public comment.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
Okay.
And then by the 30th, we need to vote, and how we decide to vote by then is
Okay.
up to us.
Go ahead.
Can we get updated dates of all these and on an email so I can add it to my calendar? There's no point for me to keep changing it. Would you please?
Yes, you can send out dates.
Okay, thank you.
It's great.
For me, thank you.
And can I make one suggestion here is, I think I know there are a backlog of projects and some more recent than others. At the same time, there are projects that are much higher in value than others too. That makes this process challenging. But from the standpoint of, efficiency in terms of requesting public presence to speak to each one of those elements, it may be worthwhile for our committee to consider an initial list as a way to kind of like guide input during some of the sessions, as a way to, this is from the mindset of, coming off the holidays, those early weeks in January can actually be less attended. And hope in the hope that, we can have good discourse around the projects that are under more careful consideration by our group.
I totally agree. I believe Bridget's been providing those lists, and I think that the federal freeze actually has made some of those projects come off the list. So it would have to be updated.
So we would
as
have
go along.
we would have to update the list, but it would remain generally the same. So currently, the current list has 40 projects on it. 2 of those are the ending balance, the contingency, which will also go away by the end of the year. And then, yes,
It
there's,
won't go away, they'll go to unappropriated funds.
well, the projects will go away, the funds will remain, they'll go into the fund account. Yes. So those will still be, the money will still be there, the projects themselves will not exist. And then, yes, we can update the projects that have been completed. Provide a revised list.
And I would recommend that we attend to the 25-26 voting cycle first, and then we do that update. So staff isn't conflicted in where they're going, what they're trying to do.
Yeah.
Right after voting night, they make sure with this new voting system, they'll be easier on that part, and then they'll have to jump into the other part. So we're giving them relief and we're giving them grief, so. Discussion?
We do have one committee member raise their hand online as well, if you'd like to take that now. Committee member Robert, you can speak. You just need to unmute yourself.
I'm
Yep,
sorry.
yeah.
I just hadn't taken it down from the last time. Thank you.
Okay.
I'd like to, I think it might be worthwhile to set a schedule for like every, at least the first 2 Wednesdays, because I think we need to give the submitters heads up time to get it on their calendars, when to make comments. So maybe having the 5th and the 12th or something, having those that comment, or the 7th and 14th, making those kind of inviting people to give us comments and giving them a heads up. So all of us can give projects in our neighborhoods, call those people and let them know. I think would be good to give them a heads up plenty ahead of time.
I have a clarifying question. So we have about 40 that we'll be reviewing.
There's exactly 40 on the list, but some will drop off. But we could keep it at 40. There's other projects that we could pull in.
What I'm wondering, can we get through 20 in one evening?
I believe we could.
Yeah. So I'm just throwing that out there. If we had 2 meetings of public comments as initial kickoff, that will give us an idea where we're going.
Yeah.
And I'll turn it over to Shelley.
So all my submitters have already commented. Would they need to come back in, or for sake of expediting things along, and their original comments still stand, or I can summarize them? I think every submitter that submitted a project that's on that list from my neighborhood was either at the meeting. There was only one, I think, who did not get his hand raised in time to publicly comment, but I think he submitted a letter as well. So that's what, 4 or 5 projects already off that list where a submitter would have to comment if their comments can still stand, or I can reiterate them briefly.
I think that's fine if we hold the list ourselves in 1 or 2 meetings. If it's just us calling the list and then going back to the public for what didn't get off in the call, that would make a lot of sense to me.
Yeah. Do that.
So have a meeting where we look at it and say, okay, we've got submittals from people who've already said. Fine. And then the next 2 meetings would be where we have public comments on the ones that are contested, if you will.
So none of my submitters want to call their projects or withdraw them, but they've stated their, their viewpoint or their opinion of why that project should not be frozen and defunded. So I think my question is just to expedite, since there's 40 projects, do I still need those 5 people or whatever to come back in to reiterate what they've already said at a meeting and take up that amount of time? Is I not loud enough?
I think the question is, if we do a review of it, any balance and contingency, which going back to unappropriated. Okay, I can give that up because it's got nothing that's been voted on and approved by us council. How many things are going to be like that, and how much can we add up from that from our own comments before we bring in public? I think that would be a good thing as a first meeting in January. To me, the second 2 meetings in January then would be open public comments. And I don't think it hurts to have the public come in and make their comments
Again,
again,
okay.
so that the public can see that there's public support for this, including council.
Okay.
Because both us and council have approved these projects.
Good point. Okay, I will let them know.
Jamie, you had a thought about
But I think anybody can come at either meetings. I don't think we want to do it first half, second half. We want to let people come at when they can, people. So it'll be all neighborhoods kind of mixed together in the comments. But yeah.
Go ahead. Oh, go ahead, Ryan. Wait till I give you the
I
mic.
agree with the expediting of it. However, we've already set the precedent with the public of the first part of the alphabet being discussed for the first time. And then like tonight, we did the next half of it. I think keeping that consistency was good for the public and our transparency. So 1 meeting does one.
Yeah, 1 meeting to look at the overall, see what we have that is offerable. And then the public comments relative to the ones that are desiring to stay, which is we all.
Sure, I'm gonna just throw out a suggestion as an idea. Just food for thought. We could take an initial vote tonight to have a benchmark of where the projects are. And that would give the public and you an idea of what projects might be prioritized or deprioritized. That would allow for input for people who want to advocate one way or the other. So that you kind of have, I guess, initial data so that people can see where their projects are ranked. They could bring in the feedback, advocate for their project, and then you could take the final vote in January as originally planned. But one option is to do an initial vote tonight to kind of have an idea or a benchmark of where we're at, allow you to kind of tailor your engagement to the community based on that information. So that's just a suggestion.
I don't know what we want to always ask.
Don't have, you can't do that.
There's
Unethical.
We either need to attend to the 25-26 cycle, or we need to abandon that and go off in this direction. It's not fair to the public that who have submitted the projects for 25-26, some of which are very important projects like fire stations, the police stations, the forestry.
Yeah.
And I think it is in the best interest of the city for us to move forward and fund those projects out of 25-26. And again, I'm looking for large projects that help the city that are shovel ready and ready to go so that we don't create backlog for Reggie. and the rest of the city staff. And then we need to attend to this item. And I don't think any of us have enough information to say, hey, folks, we're gonna take off this one.
Right.
And
I agree.
I don't want us to be the bad guys that take the money.
I understand that opinion. And so just to support what city staff, public works, deputy public works director A. Sterling suggesting is that I understand your opinion of fairness. This item has come to presentation to the NCIP committee twice already. So the information has been made available to the public. NCIP committee received this direction from city council in a public venue as well. So these presentations have been given a chance for public input before. It's been minimal public input so far. So while I do understand your idea of fairness, it has been presented to the public multiple times already. So it's not like there has not been a chance. There's been presentations within presented by city staff and by the agendas in each item. And I understand the NCIP committee's different considerations, but it's not an issue of fairness when it has been presented and it has been directed by city council on that process.
How about if we vote on what you submitted and on seconded? Don't we need to vote on that first before we consider anything else?
I was gonna ask, should we have a call for the vote? So good thinking.
Okay.
We're thinking alike.
So to ask, that's a procedural question. So whenever a motion is made, we do offer for discussion to be made about the motion before the roll calls happen, because once the roll call is given, then we take that as the answer to the motion. So we want to still offer the opportunity for all committee members to discuss the motion, to discuss the validity of it, and then before we then move on to roll call. We can still move on to roll call, but we can also ask for amendments or other motions if people are not in favor of that as well. So this is just part of the discussion process, but if we'd like to move on to the roll call portion, we certainly can.
Is there any other discussion that is to be had amongst the committees? Anybody else want to chat about it? In the chambers?
Want to clarify, so you're suggesting sort of a straw vote. This is not like we're voting on this tonight. It's just sort of a straw vote.
This would just be an initial vote, non-committal. It just has a benchmark. And so we could see just the initial prioritization of the projects. And that would allow community members to have an idea of where their projects currently stand and advocate.
But a point of order, that's not an agenda item for this meeting.
Vote is
Yes.
is an agenda item.
Voting is an agenda item.
It'd be on.
Interesting point. The projects that we have in front of us that we've discussed over the last two meetings also fall into the population of projects that will be subject to this prioritization of 4 million. So it could be that projects that we approve in this project cycle we just talked about are a lower priority than some of the ones that are on the already handed out list. So we don't even have at this point in time all the projects that we might want to prioritize.
I guess I'll just jump in again. So the future, that was a ideal project. Your question.
Are there any people who want to have comments online?
No, there are not.
Call the question. We have a motion on the floor currently.
Read the motion.
So the motion that I have was originally by committee member Duke, that was then given amendment by committee member Tipton. So to read that, which I will need a second from because the amendment from committee member Tipton would be considered the amended motion. So the motion as it is with the amendment is NCIP will table a review of previously approved projects not yet started and will consider alternative recommendations to city council on a date later to be determined in January with the amendment the end of January 31st.
Somebody needs to second that.
Yeah, we would need a second.
Second.
Waiting for seconds.
Juan Rivas will second it. So I'll do roll call at this point.
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Aguilita Oaks. Alta Mesa.
Aye.
Costa Nova Oak Knoll.
Aye.
Deer Flats.
Aye.
Thank you. Del Monte Beach.
Aye.
Del Monte Grove Laguna Grande.
Aye.
Downtown.
Aye.
Glenwood.
Aye.
Monterey Vista. New Monterey.
Aye.
Oak Grove.
Aye.
Old Town.
Aye.
Thank you. Skyline.
Yes, please.
And Villa Del Monte. Villa Del Monte, are you still there?
She dropped off.
Okay, she's dropped off, but a motion passes.
Thank you. Is there any other business that we need to consider?
It would just be committee comment at this point for any other additional committee comments.
So, any comments? Closing out?
I'll make a comment that if Monterey Vista always polls all our neighbors for votes, so we do our whole neighborhood association. We put out a poll for support of things. So if anybody wants help putting a Google Forms form together to send out to neighborhoods, it works really well. You can get good feedback from your neighborhood and it's not too different from this other one that we're looking at now for voting night, but I'll be happy to help people set that up. It's pretty easy and free.
Can I make a suggestion? Is we agendize for next meeting to have a discussion on how we're gonna be doing this? I've heard, first meeting we do this and then we do two public. I think we have a discussion on the process we're gonna use to look at the projects. So I think we need a process and figure out what that's gonna be for sure. So I think we should have that as an agenda item next time.
Anything else? Closing comments? Bruce?
I just want to mention something. Okay, I don't have an alternate, and due to my family, I have sometimes suddenly need to leave town. And I thought I could always attend in Zoom, but apparently not. So just to let you know, I might be missing some meetings.
Yeah, that's understood. Yeah, and that's been a question that's come up regularly. As it stands, in order to participate remotely for all NCIP committee members to participate as a part of the committee member as representing your neighborhood. In order to do that through remote access, you need to provide your address before the agenda is published, which has to be 72 hours before the meeting. Given the dates that we meet on Wednesday, that means 72 hours would be Sunday. Unfortunately, I cannot work on the weekends. So that means Friday afternoon is the latest that the agenda has to get published by. So the earliest that we would take it was 72 hours, meaning Friday before the meeting. And so in order to attend remotely, you would have to provide the address beforehand or use the Just Cause. But due to what's dictated within the Brown Act, you can only use Just Cause up to two times per annual calendar. So for the rest of December through December 31st, you'll only be able to use Just Cause twice for all NCIP committee members if you're choosing to represent your neighborhood.
This is the first time in all the years that there have been so many meetings waiting to December, and sometimes dates we get them just before without giving me the opportunity to notify that I'm still out of town. So it's been very complicated for me. So just to let you know, I might be missing some meetings.
And that's understood, and we appreciate that, and we do understand. Overall, the total amount of meetings have been the same amount, but obviously the schedule of it has changed because now it's much more compressed. But the overall amount of meetings is about the same as in normal years. And I will say as well that this schedule has been adopted by the committee for over 2 months now, since October. So it has been, and we are following the meeting schedule as much as possible. So that's the case, but I totally understand your concerns.
Okay. All right.
Any other comments online?
There's no comments online. The next meeting is next Wednesday.
Yeah,
Be right up.
and will there be another one week after?
No, we have a break for Thanksgiving.
Can't meet the night before Thanksgiving.
So we'll be checking each other's turkey recipe.
Yeah.
I just want to say thank you to staff. I really appreciate the voting thing and I appreciate everybody bearing this. We had the delay from council when we were waiting for guidance that changed our schedule. So yes, there's been a lot of bouncing on the meetings. I think that our focus is 2025, 26 voting cycle. And that's where we need to spend our time right now. Has my voice been strong enough tonight?
Yes, much.
I'm just kidding. Trying to work on that. My cycling accident, the way that they had to repair my neck in 2012, they literally had to crush the larynx and push it aside inside of tier and they cut through here. So it's my larynx. When I got to the spinal rehab hospital, they immediately signed a speech therapist because they said there's a possibility you won't be able to talk. There was a ear that disarmed it. It doesn't go for so Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, where they're applying electricity. Yes, it does work. So thank you for bearing with me and thank everybody for their participation. Meeting adjourned.
That's the only reason he comes to the meeting, so he could do this.